Good morning. So, I want to talk about what it means to take control in the wrong way, to take control in a way that actually hurts you. Um, Especially with a narcissist. People do this in all kinds of situations, but especially with a narcissist, if you want to really narrow it down, they like to put you in a mothering position so that you are taking care of them. It's a way for them to like relive their childhood with their mother, but in a safer environment, so that they can like rehash the things that went wrong, like them not getting enough attention, etc. Like that's why they are the way they are, because their mommy didn't bond with them. So, which means you can't fix it. And I want women to get this through their heads that you can't fix him. You cannot fix your partner. And they are grown and they need to figure it out on their own, and that's it. And it's especially for women, it's hard to not hold ourselves responsible for them, because you clean up after them, you feed them, you keep them entertained. How do you separate that from being responsible for their actions? So, that's hard to do, and I understand that. So, but you have to, call on your dark feminine and know when enough is enough. So, the reason you're feeling guilty is because since they have missed out with their mother, they're with you now, and now it's your turn to be their mother, and fill that role and fix everything that was done wrong. And so now you're the one who has to give them attention, make them feel better, make them feel like they're on top of the world, because they're tired of doing it. They've been doing it for too long for themselves, and now you need to. And where you screw yourself up is when you tell yourself that it's all going, when it goes wrong, or when something, or when the narcissist like does one of their explosive things, whatever. When all that starts going wrong, you tell yourself, you know what, this is my fault because blah, 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 and I shouldn't have blah, 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 blah. And that is a strange way that your subconscious wants to take control, because if you take control by blaming yourself, then that is your roundabout way of being in charge and having some kind of control over the situation. Like, a better example, to put it in perspective, would be when I was in school, like all my years in school. I detested school like to no end. I absolutely hated it, because there was no room for me to use any of my natural strengths or talents. I just had to do what they wanted, and I couldn't budge. I couldn't color outside the lines. I just couldn't do anything that came naturally to me, and I suffered. And so I was not good at taking tests. I wasn't good at remembering anything that was said to me, because I didn't care about it. I didn't have ADD or any of that shit. There's no diagnosis here. I don't have any excuse. I don't have anything to fall back on. It's just I didn't give a fuck. But the shit that we went over was so boring, I thought I was going to die. And, and I just didn't care. Which is why, to make up for it and to remind myself of like who the fuck I was, every day after school, once I started reading books, which was when I like reading books voraciously on my own, just for the hell of it. I was probably like 10 or 11. Well, I read books a lot anyway, but by the time I was 10 or 11, I was anxious to come home, and if I couldn't play outside, I was reading books or making something. But my grades, were not great, and every time I sat down to take a test, I thought to myself, and by the time I was 10 years old, I had absolutely mastered this. Like, I had this down to an art or a science, whichever, pick one. And I would sit down to take the test, and I would tell myself, I'm going to fail this fucking test. I'm just going to fail this test. I don't even care. That's what it's going to be. I'm going to fail. And I would like state that to myself as a fact. And I'd get it back and it would have been failed, because I didn't remember anything that was said. I didn't care enough to invest or spend my time studying. Even when I studied, that was like torture, especially, and forget math class. Just fucking forget math class. I excel at all kinds of shit now, because as an adult, I'm allowed to put my fucking time into whatever I want. especially in coaching. You know, I make my own damn schedule. I fucking do what I want with my days, and I can devote myself to whatever the hell I want. So I don't have those struggles anymore. You know, once you're grown and you're out of school and you can finally do what you want in your fucking time, you know, it's not the same. But at that time I sat there and said, you know, I'm going to fail. And I would. And then when I would get the test back and there would be an F on it, and then at some point it changed to E's, but they never wrote it on the test. They always still wrote F. And then like, you'd get an E like on the report card when it was printed out or whatever. But I would get it back and see the F and be like, huh, told you, bitch. You know, and that was my way of taking control. It sounds dumb as hell. I know it does. But I have to tell you this so that it makes sense. And that was my way of taking control and being in control, because in my mind, I thought, you know what? I'm not in control of any of this. None of this is fucking worth it. Like, I felt so lost. Just lost as a child in a lot of ways, not just in school. School was just, you know, half of it. And just the things that were going wrong for me all the time, you know, and then on top of it, I was having to go to school every day. You know, it was Catholic school at that, and I'm not Catholic now. So I never was. It's not like I left the church. You know, like I was never in it. I was never in it. I was never in it. So that, you know, there was a lot of struggles, a lot of layers to my struggles as a child, a lot of mental stress, and but that was my way of taking control, was saying, you know what, I'm responsible for this. This is the one thing I'm responsible for, and I fucked it up. But I was like predicting it ahead of time. So your mind does stuff to either predict or to blame itself in a way to where you have some kind of power of the situation, or there's some way or another where you can take control in that way. I don't know if I'm explaining this as clearly as I want to, but when you blame yourself like that, you're taking responsibility for it. And if you take responsibility for it, you're therefore in control. And even though it's negative, and even though it hurts to think about it, and it sounds shitty to do that to yourself, that is what your brain is trying to do in a desperate attempt to be in control of some part of the situation, and regardless of where you are. But you know, especially obviously with the narcissist, because the narcissist, on the surface at least, is in control. On the surface, not deep down, but just on the surface, just the way it looks. But really, you've got healthier ways of taking control. So instead of blaming yourself, you need to remember who you were before they got there, because that person still lives in you. I mean, like all your good qualities and your hobbies that you had to give up, and your dreams that you had to give up, and shit like that, you know. That is still in you, and there's no reason for you to have to blame yourself for shit that goes wrong between the two of y'all, when you can have control in so many better, healthier, more wholesome, more realistic ways. So instead of saying, well, he's pissed off because I did this, I should have known better, blah, blah, blah. Instead of telling yourself over and over again that you should have known better, or you should have done this, or you should have done that, you have to remember that you're dealing with somebody who has a severe mental issue that has not been treated, that has never been treated, never been diagnosed. Because the narcissist thinks that there's nothing wrong with them, so they're never going to go to the damn therapist. They're just not going to. You might have 1 out of 100,000 that's going to say, yeah, I need therapy. But for the most part, they carry themselves as being perfect. The overt ones, at least. The covert ones, like, do this humility thing. I've seen some people who show both narcissistic traits, where sometimes they're real, like, flamboyant about how great they are, and then other times they try to be real humble. But I would still put that under covert. I would still put that under overt, like the classical in-your-face narcissist, because they're still doing too much showing off. To me, I don't know. I'm not, that's just, to me, that's what I see. But anyway, so that is something you really need to consider, because so many people do that. Like, they just blame themselves for shit. And instead, what you need to be doing is remembering the parts of yourself that you want to keep. Like I say, your hobbies, your good qualities, the way you saw yourself, the way you got along with the people you loved, and things like that. Because the narcissist can take away all that kind of stuff if you let them. They can cut you off from your family and people that are important to you. They can make you hate yourself. They can make you stop doing all your hobbies. And they do all that because they're trying to redirect you to just live through them. And that's where the shared fantasy comes in. So once you live through them and you start doing things that are like only possible through them or whatever, right? That's how they keep control of you, because they keep dangling it in front of you, like, oh, but I know we're arguing and shit, but don't you want this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, shake it in front of your face, and you'll say, oh yeah, that is the kind of life I want. Yeah, okay, we can do it. And that's what used to happen to me when a certain someone would push me over the edge. And I tried to break up with him like half a dozen fucking times. I'm not making this up. Like, I tried to break up with him over and over again, and he wouldn't let me. That was my old story I used to tell myself. Pay attention to this part. I used to tell myself, well, he wouldn't let me. And I have to say that so that you can see the difference. And every time I tried to do it, we would go back and forth for like an hour or two about why I shouldn't break up with him. And I was weak, and I let it happen. And I let him have me think that there wasn't going to be anybody else like him. And they love to do that. They love to do that. And we stuck together, and we stuck together, and we stuck together. And finally, after almost about a year of dealing with him, I got away from him. And it took some moves. It took some moves. Like, I had to go to courthouse and everything, but I did finally get away from him. That's just how it goes with them. That's just how they are. But I let it happen. And I had to take control of the situation instead of like blaming myself for everything. So, but he had that shared fantasy that he dangled in front of my face, and I fell for that every time. And I thought, well, yeah, he's right. I'm probably not going to find anybody else like him again. I need to see, they thrive when you hate yourself. It's not just narcissists. There's a lot of people who are, normal, who do really well when you hate yourself. I get a lot more attention from men when I'm feeling real bad about myself. Real bad. I'm a lot more popular. So, for the most part, now and then you'll when that shifts, and when you start feeling good about yourself, you'll bring in, the rest of them. But I have zero interest in dating right now as it is. Like, I'm fine, but I just have zero interest. So I don't, yeah, I don't have time for that. I just don't have the time, and much less the patience. But, so when you blame yourself for stuff, and that is your only way of taking control, you really need to look at your situation, because they've got you thinking that you're on the bottom. When it comes down to the point where you need to hold yourself accountable for all the bad things going wrong, especially as a woman, as tempting as that is, because like I say, you're responsible for keeping people alive as it is. You can't sit there and blame yourself for every single thing that comes apart. It's just, there's no way. You wouldn't have a reason to live if you're going to do that. Because these are adults that we're talking about. And when you take control, you need to be taking control of, in a more, especially with the narcissist, sometimes you have to do it in a more conniving way, because that's their psychology, is to do things in a sneaky way. And sometimes, for lack of a better way to put it, you have to play their game. You have to play by their rules, and you have to do it the way they've done it, especially if you're building a plan to get yourself out the door. If you're living with them and you need to, sneak out, it's, of course, like I say, this is easier if you have your own money and can kind of figure it out on your own. or like you have relatives you can go stay with or something, until you get your own place. It's easier that way. If you are in a situation where y'all have children together and you still need to make your first appointment with a lawyer, and everything's swirling around you and you haven't done anything yet, you can still take control. The first thing I would do in that situation would be to get in touch with every lawyer who does free consultations, and you ask as many questions as you possibly can in that 30 minutes. You get in touch with every lawyer within 100 miles. It doesn't have to be somebody just in your town. You can call a lawyer, as long as they're in the same state as you and they know your laws. You can call everybody in your fucking state that has a 30-minute free consultation and get all the information you can possibly stand to get from somebody, and write everything down, and have some info to back yourself up, so you know some of your rights and shit like that. And if it was me, I would start there, because I have had to do that. I just had to call until I got people that did the free consult, and then I went and I got my questions answered, and I was fine after that. But I would suggest doing that first, because you need to know what your legal rights are, and you need to be able to get it for fucking free, and get that information for free. So start with that, because people always say, "Well, I can't afford a lawyer," but there's so many of them that talk for free for a little bit, or you can even chat online. I've sure known some people that did that. You can chat, with lawyers online for a little bit. So you can take control in that way. If you need to take control with money, you can. And if he's got your cards, if he's got your cards, all you gotta do is get him drunk and get him to sleep. Or hell, if you have to, drop something in his coffee. I don't know. His routine, and when he takes naps and when he sleeps and shit like that. And if you can, if it helps to give him a little bit of alcohol before he goes to sleep, so that you can go through his wallet or go through his stuff and get your card back, then do that. If he gets to work and he's at lunchtime and going through his wallet to pay for his lunch, and he realizes your card is gone, and he calls you in a frenzy, because he knows you've gone through his stuff and gotten your debit card back, or whatever card that has your name on it, you don't even have to plan to it. If he does that, you just, for real, if it was me, I would just hang up. But in the meantime, if you need to have your own money, there's a million ways you can do that. You can sell shit online. You can sell your stuff. You can sell other people's stuff. Like, that I've done that. Like, I sell programs and stuff, like, from other business people. I have set it up to where, because I had, there were ladies who needed a side income to build so that they could get the hell out. And I just thought, how do I contribute to that? How do I fix that? How do I make it so they can do that? Because that's really common. And so that was when I went on Thrivecart, and I paid for the lifetime thing, and I have it's got all the details, all the bells and whistles and shit. And what you do is you can go to my website, go down to my links, and it says make money selling my courses. Click on make money selling my courses, and it's going to take you to my courses that I have so far, and you can sign up and sell that shit and make some side money. And after I did that, it just went whoosh. So I was like, okay, so this is working, this is helping people, because there has to be a way that you can sit at home quietly making money, not saying shit to anybody, on your fucking phone, and if you can, I would say even have a backup phone. If you have one of your old phones, you better plug that bitch in and charge it and resurrect it if you can, because in case he goes through your phone and takes that, you can get on your old phone and sign into, Facebook and whatever else you're using, and reuse that stuff and do it all and start all and do it all over again, So it's good to have backup phones. I have done that as well. If I still have a backup phone, I just always do. I got at least 2 backup phones. So that's another way you can take control in a better way. And it sounds sneaky and it sounds conniving, and the reason you feel bad about it is because, number one, women have been taught to feel bad anyway, in general. You've just been taught to feel bad about yourself, because it's easier for you to be controlled by the other half of the population if you hate yourself. And that's the whole point of everything in this world right now. That's the whole point. As long as you hate yourself, things are easier for everyone else. And I don't hate men, but I mean, I'm telling you, things are the way they are for a reason, and you just have to look at it for what it is. And you feeling good about yourself is going to get a bad reaction, because it always has throughout history. And it's too goddamn bad at this point. It's too fucking bad at this point. So you do whatever sneaky shit you have to do to take control, because it's going to be your, at the end of the day, your choice is going to be between your life or his, preserving your life or your narcissistic partner or hers, whatever. I don't care. But it's going to be between taking care of you or taking care of them. Which one's going to make you fall apart sooner? Especially if you have children, whether it's the narcissist kids or not. If you have children who are relying on you and who are looking up to you and who are counting on you to do the right thing, you've got to do the right thing, which is you've got to put your own safety and well-being and health first. And it means do whatever you got to do to get the fuck away from that person. If you're doing better than that, and you have your own place, and that's somebody who just comes over and visits, and y'all just do your thing, and then they go back to their place or whatever, that's a lot. You're light years ahead of a lot of the rest of them. So it's not as bad that way. But if you're like starting from the bottom and trying to get out of the house and stuff, there's always a way. So, and if you want to know about the Thrive Cart thing, about the affiliate links where you can sell my stuff and make your money, just go to my website. Everything's on there. You just scroll down the links. It's real easy. Sign up is so easy. You don't pay me anything, none of that weird shit. You just do your name. When you go to the website and ask for affiliate ID, that's just your username that you want to use on the website. So you just make up whatever you want, and it asks for your email, and then it asks you for the business name. You can just put my name if you want. It doesn't really matter. The business name is like whatever. You can just put anything, and then it'll ask you to link your PayPal. That's real easy. It'll walk you right through it. It's like 3 steps. It's not. I did it because I went through that website and was selling somebody else's courses, and I was like, wait a minute, people could sell mine. Why don't I just sell my own shit? And then I started doing that. But I noticed it after so many women were saying, I don't have the money. I thought, what can I do? And I thought about it. I was like, well, shit. They like my courses. They like my stuff. It was enough paying me, just to have the one-on-one to start with. Why don't they, since they already know who I am and they've already worked with me, why can't they just sell my stuff and make some side money and then get the fuck out of there? And people who aren't my clients anybody can sell my shit. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter. If you don't know who the fuck I am and you just want to make some money, go for it. I'm not offended. But the Thrive Cart affiliate link thing, that has really done well, and I'm glad to see it, because that's how much I've helped people just by creating that, so y'all can make some fucking money. Because if you need to get out, you need to get out. And if you know enough people, well, really, you don't even have to know a lot of people. If you have a blog or something like that, or whatever, you could just embed it on your blog, and as long as you have a lot of traffic, you can sell it that way. You can send the link wherever you want. Join groups on Facebook, post it in there, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's anything. And you can do all that shit online from home or from wherever you live, as long as you have an internet connection. So that seems to have been really empowering, and I'm glad to see it. Really glad to see it, because any little help can make all the difference. So really, I shouldn't say little help, because help's not really little in that case, is it? But anyway, so you can take control with that. You can take control with knowing more stuff about the narcissist, like knowing the stuff that they don't want you to know. If you can get on the laptop and sign in to bank accounts and stuff like that when they're not looking, go through that stuff. Go through paperwork when they're not looking. If you can't do that, if it's impossible, like if he has the key with him all the time and there's just no way, unless you wake up at like 3 in the morning and he's asleep and you know where that key is and you can just start going through stuff, do that. I've had to do that. Like, I understand. I understand how it feels to be on the bottom. But there are ways to take control of the situation, and you have to be as sneaky and as sly and as sleazy and as manipulative and cunning as they've been to you. The difference is you're using those skills to put your damn life back together. You know, you can't feel bad about somebody who has damn near ruined you and taken your life back from that person. You know, why the fuck would you feel bad about that? So, and I go over this a lot in my Wounded Feminine course as well, like the guilt thing. The guilt thing is absolutely atrocious, like what the world has done to women, or how fucking dare you. You know, we feel guilty for bleeding, we feel guilty for eating, we feel guilty for wearing our hair down, we feel guilty for wearing stuff that makes us feel good or look good. We feel guilty for, you know, doing something away from the children and you know, trying to keep our heads screwed on right and trying to keep, you know, the final shreds of our sanity intact. We feel bad about, you know, all kinds of shit that we shouldn't fucking feel bad about. Ice cream? Hell, eat it. Fuck a size 0. Eat the spaghetti. You know, you think I give a shit about being a size 0? Look at me, I don't care. You know, I'm bigger than I look, but I mean, like, do you think I give a shit? No, I do what I want. I fucking do what I want. I sure as fuck eat what I want. So, you know, there is no use in torturing yourself when the other person is already doing a real damn good job of it. Like, this isn't the Spanish Inquisition. Like, give yourself a break. So, those are some better ways to take control instead of blaming yourself. I'm gonna leave this at I'm gonna leave the video at that because I'm trying not to make them too long. But I've been thinking about that for a while, and I wanted to do a video on it because it's important. And I see everyone that pops up in the video, but unless someone really asks a question, I try not to distract myself with it too much, because like I'll forget what I'm saying. Like, I have to focus so hard. I really have to focus. So when I just see like good morning and stuff like that, that's fine. You know, you guys can say that, but I can't. And it's in every single video, so it's not. I don't want y'all to think I'm just ignoring you, but I really have to like keep my mind on what I'm saying, because I will forget. I'll lose my train of thought. So that's it for that. Yeah, there's just better ways to take control instead of torturing yourself. So keep that stuff in mind. If you need to write down, if you need to make a list of things like that, then do that. But like I say, first things first, get the free consultations from as many lawyers as you want. And it's not like they're going to call each other and be like, hey, did you get a call from so-and-so? Don't fucking go. You know, no one's going to know what you're up to, you know. And if he looks through the phone records and sees it, you know what, fuck him. Either that, or if you have to, use a friend's phone, or better yet, you could go on Google. I don't know if he would find out about this though, but you could go on Google and get a Google Voice number, and nobody would know about that, I think. Unless he's the type that really looks at the phone records. Most people don't do that anymore. So I don't know. You're the one who knows how to navigate that better than me, because I don't know who we're dealing with. But there's always a way to get around that. You just do what you gotta do. But anyway, that's it. So better ways to take control. No more self-blame here. We can't be fucking with that anymore, because, you know, especially if you have children, they need you. They need you to do the right thing, and blaming yourself for somebody else's bullshittery is not it. Okay? So we're taking control in better ways and healthier ways, and we're just taking our life back. And that's it. So thanks.